Everyone has experienced it when they're chatting to someone they like. But it's difficult to determine if they're only being pleasant or flirting. Mrs. Robinson, you seem like you're trying to seduce me. Aren't you afraid that you'll feel this way when you speak to someone you've just met or even someone you've known for a long, but you can't quite read them? This video will walk you through 6 subtle signs that you can look for to determine if someone is attracted to you. Before we start, for visual aids, we'll be looking at clips of celebrities, but keep in mind that just because these are actors and the cameras are rolling, doesn't mean that these people are attracted to each other. Superhero movies. We've all watched a lot of superhero movies. While no one indicator indicates anything, if you see many of them together, you'll start to get a clear image of how the individual thinks about you. 1. Be aware of preening. The first subliminal indication that someone is drawn to you is preening, which you may notice while conversing with them or even notice before you start talking. One way to preen oneself is to stand up straighter, play with or fix hair, straighten clothes, or play with jewelry. You can probably recall a time when you preened while speaking to someone attractive. Here's an example from Margot Robbie, who tormented him on the boardwalk while he was heading there. Yes, I was bully number 2 one day. I believe that these are common behaviors, but when we're attracted to someone, we tend to do them more frequently or for longer periods of time. Therefore, while someone fixing their hair once may not indicate anything, doing so frequently may be a subtle indication that they're interested in you. For instance, in the first clip, Craig Ferguson and Kate Mara's words make it clear that she's flirting. However, you should be aware of your own body language, even in seemingly innocent conversations. Personally, I like to do the shoulder pads and heels and nothing else. Oh, that's okay. Everything is okay. I adore Dunkin' Donuts. What more would you want to discuss? Coffee. No, he's not a donut horse. He's a regular. He's a horse, indeed. People subconsciously pretense because it's a result of nervous fiddling and a desire to look better. In the following clip, you'll notice that Catherine touches her hair after Craig calls her out on something. Yes, Toronto is crazy, but I also like that little "do you feel that little leg" thing that happens in there. Yes, you are a black belt, aren't you? 2. Be mindful of a tug or persistent contact. As you just saw, touch can also be a sign that someone is attracted to you. However, not all touches are the same, so there are 2 types of touches to watch out for that are subtle indicators of attraction. The first is a drag touch, or lingering touch. For instance, observe how this woman's hand remains on the guy's body for as long as she can. Can I get another egg? Absolutely, I'm glad you're here. I'm not sure which way, I'll just go this way. An embrace can be clearly platonic, but if someone follows suit and continues to touch you instead of immediately cutting off. This brief contrast between a drag touch and a friendly hug might indicate anything deeper. The drag touch won't always be that evident, so here's a more subtle example. After the hug, notice how she drags her hand across Cristiano's back rather than letting it drop. Essentially not disconnecting completely until the very last second she can. The next time you hug someone, and you're not quite sure how they feel about you, notice if they quickly disconnect or linger with their hands. 3. Pay attention to infrequent, needless little touches. Having said that, not every contact has to be prolonged to indicate interest. Tiny touches, but regular, needless tiny touches, are the second touch-related clue that someone is drawn to you. This is an instance of an unneeded touch because it's just the 2 of them talking. She might have stated, "I could tell you again later." You can tell me again later. Without touching his arm. One careless contact doesn't always indicate anything. Rather, it becomes an indication of desire when several occur back to back. Here's a brief example. I have been observing you, and you have been observing me. I have been curious about what's happening, so I kind of made the connection between this and this. Is there a connection? Is there something? There's a recurring theme. You know, it's a service, because I'm speculating about how far that's going. There were actually more states now that I think about it. Don't laugh at that. None of those touches signify anything in and of themselves. Some people are just touchy. What you really want to focus on is whether someone is more touchy with you than with other people. That indicates they might be attracted to you. In these days of social distancing. 4. Take note of which way a person is pointing their body. Thus, another cue to be aware of is when someone gestures to their body. For instance, in this instance, Robert Downey Jr. and Craig Ferguson are engaged in a platonic chat. It's not the top film in America. Rather, it's the top film globally. He poses his torso and legs in front of the crowd, only twisting his neck to glance at Craig. When you compare that to this exchange, when the woman is staring at Craig directly and not at all at her chair, it's clear who is talking to him more. Here's another instance where you can see how Tiffany's body language changes over the conversation. You didn't answer my question, but can we go for a break, please? Tiffany even keeps her body facing Jay, while James Corden is speaking, so you're never going to break him. If you see someone point their body towards you even while they are talking to someone else, that's a great sign that they are interested in you. Now, notice how Tiffany starts off with her body fairly even between James Corden and Jay. However, as the flirting begins, she cheats her body more and more towards Jay. That's A Good Madden Pie, which airs Mondays at 9 on CBS. 5. Check to see whether they are bending toward you. Closely related to this is another body language indicator of attraction. If someone leans in your direction while speaking to you, for example. This can happen in a number of ways. A less obvious example of when you might notice this without realizing it's happening is if they fall toward you while laughing. She could have easily fallen to the side that brought her closer to Craig, or she could have fallen backwards. This could be coincidence. Nonetheless, she tumbled to the side that brought her nearer to Craig. This may be coincidence, but it might also be a subconscious attempt to get nearer to you so they can quickly compare. Despite being facing Conan, observe Alice Eve's very neutral body language and contrast it with her body language with Craig. I expanded rapidly. In a year, I gained around 3 feet in height. However, you are not allowed to choose and choose, even if you technically may. That's unfortunate since this is a free nation, and you are quite correct. Alice did a great job of reminding us that this is a free nation. The smiling eye dart is the final indicator, number 6. It's common for someone to look away when you unintentionally lock eyes with them. So what you're looking for is that sheepish smile while they look away. This indicates that they felt caught and were probably purposely staring at you, possibly because they have a crush on you or are checking you out. Here's a great example of this. Henry Cavill is staring at her first. Normally, though, it's when you catch them looking at you. Now that you are aware of a few subtle indicators that someone is drawn to you, what if you find that you don't receive these signals as frequently as you would like? Increasing your charisma and confidence is one of the quickest ways to make yourself appear more attractive. That will ensure that you know exactly what to do every day to advance your charisma and confidence. It's so much easier for me to connect with people. All of my relationships have improved and I am able to make new friends anywhere in any situation. I never expected such remarkable outcomes from a simple online routine. It has undoubtedly made a significant impact on my life. Everything in my life has improved from loving myself. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. And others more to creating and developing amazing external relationships. There's so much more joy in my life, and see you has been a huge reason for it.